Have you ever reached the middle of your novel and suddenly the excitement from your opening is gone and the ending still feels miles away? You've got characters wandering around talking, traveling, researching, or reacting to things, but they just aren't driving your story forward. If you've ever hit that particular wall, please know that you are not alone. Now, many writers think that the problem is a pacing one, and that's not usually the case. Typically, it is a structure problem. Today, I want to show you one of the biggest reasons that story middles sag, along with simple techniques to fix it. But before we get into that, please be sure to like, comment, and share so others can find this content as well. Welcome to the Mythic Observatory, where we deep dive the structure and a whole bunch of other things. So you've generally seen writing advice that treats the middle like it's one big giant section. It's like half your novel. This is Act Two, messy middle, the swamp. I think that's part of the problem because the middle isn't just one thing. It's made of a lot of smaller units, and I'm going to call them sequences. And to get this a definition, a sequence is a collection of scenes that accomplish one meaningful step in your story. So, bigger than a scene, usually bigger than a chapter, and definitely smaller than an act. So, for each one, they have their own beginning, they have their own ending, they have their own momentum. And you know what? Thinking in smaller bite sized chunks makes pacing a lot easier, particularly when you realize that not every sequence has to accomplish everything. And let me go into that. What I mean by the everything is I'm talking about advancing the plot, raising the stakes, developing the romance, revealing the theme, transforming the protagonist, introducing a twist, ending with an impossible decision. And it's no wonder that writing the middle feels exhausting. But stories don't actually work that way. And I want you to instead imagine your story as a tapestry being woven. There aren't just one or two threads running through it, there are seven. And I like to call them the seven narrative threads. These are the goal, the stakes, the strategy, relationships, theme, transformation, and choice. And these aren't seven separate stories. They're seven ongoing conversations that your story is having with your readers. Here's the really important part. Readers don't need all seven threads to move through every sequence. Readers simply need to feel that something is happening that's meaningful, that's moving in the story, that continues to change. It isn't nonstop action, not the explosions, not the plot twists every 10 pages. Momentum is meaningful change. Simple as that. So let's take a look at those threads. The first one is the goal. Pretty obvious, right? What is your protagonist trying to accomplish? Is it destroy the ring, win the Hunger Games, find the lightning thief, or rescue the kidnapped father? Readers instantly understand goals because goals create direction. But consider this, sometimes the goal barely moves an entire sequence. Think about the Council of Elrond in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring in particular. Nobody gets closer to Mount Doom. Nobody's defeating Sauron. The ring has not been destroyed or isn't in the process, but the story doesn't feel stalled. And why is that? Because several other threads are moving at the same time. The stakes are becoming much larger than Frodo ever imagined. Relationships are formed as the fellowship comes together. The strategy changes from hide the ring to destroy the ring. We're carrying it to Mordor. Theme begins to really emerge as ordinary people accept doing extraordinary things. The external goal pauses, doesn't disappear, but the story doesn't highlight that. And this is an incredibly important distinction. The second thread is stakes, which really gets shown in this scene. Every meaningful sequence should either remind readers what can be lost or reveal something even worse if this is the thread that is shining in the sequence. And sometimes this is danger that becomes physical or emotional or relationship wise. Sometimes it's even spiritual. In the Hunger Games, Katniss isn't simply trying to survive. Now, that's her goal. But the consequences of failure keep expanding. It's her family, it's Rue, it's PETA, it's District 12, and eventually it's the entire nation. The goal remains the same, survival, but the stakes continue expanding. The third thread here is strategy. And one of the fastest ways to create a repetitive middle is have your characters continue keeping to the same plan over and over again without any transformation, without any change. Good stories force new approaches. If the first plan fails, they have to improvise. That fails too. Oh no, what will they do? Well, maybe they have to cooperate with someone that they don't trust. Or maybe they have to consider a plan that they never would have risked before. But every time the strategy changes, readers instinctively feel forward movement because the story itself has become different. Relationships work the same way. Characters shouldn't simply spend chapters together with no change. Their relationship should evolve. You have trust. Do they trust more? Do they trust less? Can there be betrayal? Is there respect? Is there love? Is there resentment? Forgiveness? Every sequence should leave important relationships somewhere a bit different than where they began. Another thread is theme. And this is the one that I think writers often misunderstand because theme isn't something your protagonist suddenly pops in at the end going, hey, theme. And that's in chapter 30. It's something that the story gradually reveals through consequences. Okay, so now here's where sequences become incredibly useful. Notice that I said every sequence does not need to advance all 7 threads equally. In fact, it probably shouldn't. Sometimes you'll want to focus almost entirely on relationships and transformation. Another sequence might need an emphasis on goal, stakes, and strategy. And even a third one might revolve around theme and a difficult choice. What's important is that across the middle of your novel, all 7 threads are being wove together to form one larger picture. And that's the deeper purpose of sequence. Instead of asking for every individual scene in your book to carry the entire novel on its back, sequences give different narrative threads room to take center stage, while the others remain present but further in the background. This approach helps prevent the middle from feeling repetitive and saggy. It's also what allows long fantasy novels to maintain momentum for 100,000 words or more without exhausting your reader. In my companion essays over on Substacks, I go much deeper into these concepts of how to build sequences, how to identify them, how to organize them, and how to decide which narrative threads should be taking center stage in that particular moment, when to spotlight them. The links are below. But even if you stop here, I want you to try an exercise. Go through the middle of your novel and identify your sequences. Then ask some simple questions. And all of these are based on what changed here. Did the goal move? Did the stakes grow? Did the strategy shift? Did the relationship evolve? Did the protagonist's beliefs begin to crack? Did the story reveal another piece of its theme? Did someone make a meaningful choice? If the answer is nothing changed, you've probably found a place where your middle is beginning to sag. Remember, readers don't need constant action. What they need is constant change. That's what keeps pages turning. And when you have turning pages, you probably have built a middle that readers just can't put down. And that's what we all want, yes? Anyway, until next time, may your steel be tempered, your roots unbroken, and may your path rise to meet you.